Hi, we are now working on signature number 4. It will be the one that's on the back side of page 2. And then we only have one more to go, and I've already got it designed. So as soon as I get done showing you this one, I will then upload that next one. So this is the piece of paper that I'm using as my base page. The reverse side has this. And what was over here was the mushroom with the little gnome sitting on it. But this was the image that I wanted. So I trimmed this out so that it is 8 1/4 across by 8 5/8 in height. Now there's not a lot you can do on this page. Because almost anything you do is going to be covering up the images. So I thought this would be a great place to put just a nice small single waterfall over here on this right side. And I've taken this piece of paper that we've been working on throughout. I've cut that to back this, and then I have this gnome that I'm using on the front of it. And then I've taken the same piece of paper, and I'm trying to be careful here because I cut the pattern in a row all the way down. Let's see if I can do this without. Okay, this piece back here measures 3 1/8 across by 2 1/2 inches in height. That's what you're going to attach your waterfall to, and then you can just station your waterfall here. Each of these waterfall pieces measure 8 3/8 across by 5 5/8 in length, and you're going to score at a 1/2 inch, and that's what's going to get tucked under and taped onto this so that you can see that everybody is all attached and ready to go. So like I said, I trimmed this piece here, and then I stayed in the same trim and so that the pattern would flow. But then when you get inside, we have that hinge that I want to cover, and I just cut some blue strips. You can cut from your scraps, use anything that you want to use. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want these to fall out of order, is I'm going to go ahead and tape them on right now, and then I'll worry about putting everything else together. So I'm going to put these on first. So these are 1/2 inch strips. The strips that I used on the hinge are 3/8, and these are about 3 by 1/2. And then you just center them. And I'm just coming in about 1/16 on each side. So then when I close, then we got the pattern there, and then we'll work on this. So again, your waterfall is going to measure 3 1/8 across, 5 5/8 in length, scoring it at a 1/2 inch. Tape that, tuck it under, and that's going to get attached to a square piece that measures 3 1/8 by 2 1/2. And then it just makes it one piece that you're attaching. And then I'm going to do these real quick since I've got this loose. It will be a lot easier. Now the blue piece, again, these are roughly 3 inches by 3/8. And the blue piece that I picked out will eventually have a moon appear here. It's just kind of a way to have a little bit of focal visual, excuse me, interest in the hinge. And here comes the moon. Now you can pick, like I said, any piece you want. And there's the tail end. I just wanted something that you could see it develop. You can still see some of the fireflies. Okay, so we are going to take, or you can do whatever you want. I am going to take some tape and put on this so that if I have to readjust, I can by removing or loosening up the tape. If I use glue, I'm pretty much committed to the very first attempt to put it on, and I don't want to do that. All right. There we go. All right, let's just, I'm going to bring this to me just a little bit. And I see some funky stuff right here. There we go. All right. I want to come down just about 3/8 of an inch, and I want to be in about 3/8 of an inch. And if I put that on straight, we should be good to go. Now, I'm going to try my trick. I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but I have now devised a way that I can get those off of there. Okay, we're just going to set him. Well, I'm committed. That stuff sticks very quickly. I wanted this a little bit more to the left, but that's okay. We're on, we're connected. So here you go. You've got your flaps. So these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. My apologies, I should have told you that up front, but I think when I told you it was 2.5 and you got 1/2 inch hinges, probably could have been a clue. But this will hold 9 photos just on this little page right here on these flaps. And then if you wanted, you could still commit some photos in here, but it leaves this beautiful scenery all intact. So now we're going to work on our panels. I'm going to start with the right one. This is going to measure at 6 3/4 across by the 8 5/8 in the height. You're going to come in and score it at 1/2 inch and at 5/8 of an inch. And then we're going to wrap, and I want that hinge on the top of the page, so I'm bringing the paper all the way up to the 1/2 inch score line. And then our left panel, I can get these apart. So this will be left over right, and you can see I've already placed my magnet kind of to remind myself. This is going to measure at, gosh, it's just a hair over 5 1/8. So trim it down to 5 1/8 or go trim it down to 5 1/8, because the larger this piece is, how do I explain what I want to say? If you trim this piece so that it's larger, this flap, then you're taking away from the paper, the width of the pattern paper, and you won't have the right width to do this panel. I hope that makes sense. So again, we're going to come right up to the 1/2 inch. Fold it over. And then I'm going to just push back on that 5/8 score line so that I can encourage it to do what I want it to do. All right, so I've already placed this. I could have placed it a little bit better, but who cares? All right, make sure that these line up top to bottom. Whoa. And that our hinges are straight. There we go. And then smidgen of tape to hold everything together. All right, so the inside workings, you have a wood paneled piece, and that's what we're going to put here. Oh wow, I can see my tape right there. That's not very pretty. And I know how to fix it, so I am going to just put a little bit of undo so that I can loosen this just a bit. This probably happened because I've got bulk right here and it was pushing back on my hinge, so it didn't lay in there straight. So I'm just going to loosen that, and then I'm going to pull this up, and then I'll lay it down. There's the fix. Don't like seeing tape on there. All right, so here's this brown sheet. You have a couple, you should have a couple of them left. You're going to trim your sides so that they're set. If you end up coming up short on the width on the trimming, then you'll use this to help bridge that gap a little bit. But I think I'm okay. Let me pull this over and view just a little bit better. All right, so that's going to go here. This is going to go here. And I'm going to push this down a little bit. Okay, so I am actually pretty set, pretty good. Well, goofy girl. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to make a pocket, and we can make the pocket one of two ways. We can put the pocket here, or we can put the pocket on this side. If you put the pocket on this side, you'll need to remember to round your corners. I'm actually going to place the pocket here on this inside. So this piece right here, this measures 1 3/4 of an inch across by your 8 7/8. I've taped the 3 sides. This is the piece out of the scraps that I found that I'm using. And then I'm taking one of the ephemera pieces, which is the 2 little mushrooms, and I'm just going to stick this right down here. There's not going to be a tuck. It's going to actually be physically adhered to the paper so that you can still utilize the tuck, and then you've still got a space up here. But this is more for embellishment, all right? When we get over here to the left panel, we're going to situate this, and then this is the little gnome, is what I'm calling him, that I'm using to sit down here across the bottom. On this one, I took my razor knife and I cut across here because I'm going to pull this tape off to adhere him here, but I'm not going to here because I want to use this as a tuck, so this will remain intact. Now I've got a magnet on this side, so I am going to use, I gotta cap this off. I'm going to use tape. I just realized I did not do something, and I hope it doesn't cause a problem. I got a new iPhone 15 because I wanted more storage, and discovered that on the iPhone 15, if a call comes in, or an email, or a text, it interferes with my video. That was not happening when I had my iPhone 11. So I reached out to Apple. The only way I can control it on my end is to put my phone in airplane mode. Well, I didn't remember to do that, so hopefully we don't get any interference. Sometimes I think it takes a better set of geniuses to come up with those upgrades and realize what's going to work and what's not going to work. Okay, so now I can pick this off. Oh, that's so easy. All right, and then I'm going to set him in here. And there we have just a nice little tuck. And get up underneath his knees a little bit here, I think. There we go. And you've also still got a spot here for a photo. You could actually place a photo behind him, and I think that would look really cute. All right, so he's done. Let's go over here now to the right side. And I am going to glue this. Being mindful of the score lines, and then lay this down. And then I'm going to run this right up along that score line. Then we're going to glue. Now, if for some reason I do get cut off, once I get this piece down, it'll be putting the tape on the back of the album and getting it mounted. So, oh, where are my scissors? I've got a little too much up here. I didn't cut that very well. There we go. Okay. I forgot I've got to put the fronts on, so we're not going to be done. There we go. And again, this is just more for decoration. All right, that's down. So let's take a look at this front so you'll know what to do. I'm sorry, I'm panicking now. It's something I'm not used to having to prep for. All right. So this is the piece we're now going to use. And I cut this first, and then I cut this. So this piece here, I cut at 4 and looks like 4 3/8, this one right here. And then that allowed me to finish with this here. And I won't be doing anything with this. This piece here, I'm putting this title, New Dawn. He's looking back at the morning sun. So let's go ahead and get, or evening sun, I'm not quite sure. Oh, New Dawn. Silly girl. I get it. Okay, just come right here. Is that level? Yeah, close enough. And like I said, I won't be doing anything with this piece. And then we'll go to the back and put the tape on. Okay, so there we go. Little waterfall, tuck. Here's a tuck, or here's a pocket, here's a tuck. Not doing anything with that. Let me put that there. All right, let's get out the big tape. This will totally seal up before I'm done, so I gotta cap it off. I don't know if I shared this. I get asked this all the time. When I get a paper collection, I will go through it multiple times. I will look, see where my patterns are, how am I going to put this together, and then once I've figured out what I want to do, then I actually tear the pads apart so that I'm putting them in the order that I want them to appear throughout the signature. I like to try as best as I can to tell a story with the paper, and it was fairly easy to do with this collection. Okay, so this is going to come here. And I am going to, okay, where'd my picker go? There it is. Excuse me. One moment. Now I'm going to hold on to this hinge so that it makes sure that it lays straight and flat. Now we'll get in here and start to burnish. Okay, there we have it. One to go. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.